I believe the Republican Party is going to be around for a long time and it will correct. I just don't know how much damage is going to be done between now and that moment they wake up.
After the insurrection, you said Republicans had to have a big family meeting where you all come together and hash out differences. Did that family meeting conversation happen, and what is your assessment now?
It did, but the crazy family members ended up winning out. I think when we had the discussion about Liz the first time, it was obvious that there was support for her. But I think when Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise basically went and kissed the ring of Donald Trump, they resurrected him. They took somebody that was politically a has-been and made him the de facto leader of the Republican Party.
You've talked about moving the Republican Party into the future, but I wonder, how do you do that? And what does that look like when you have Republicans like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has made headlines for her support of far-right conspiracy theories, yet is being elected to Republican seats?
Look, there's no doubt we are outnumbered at this moment. You can see that in polling. You can see that in any number of key factors. But I do think that the former president's influence on the party is declining, even though slowly. Leadership is about leading people to a better future. And I think rejecting conspiracies and division is the number one thing we ought to be doing as leaders. The opposing force to QAnon is truth teller, right? And I think QAnon itself as a movement is dying out. There's only so many times you can predict Trump will come back as president until you realize it's a garbage movement. But that will be replaced by some conspiracies. We've already seen it replaced by election trutherism or, bamboo ballots in Arizona. Not only wasn't the election stolen, but we need to quit even pretending that. And I think the only way to disinfect darkness and lies is with truth. And so I think trying to find folks that are going to run in primaries with a country first message, but a real message of truth is very important.
Who do you look to as the truth tellers in your party now?
Well, look, I think Liz is telling the truth on a lot of stuff. I mean, I think she tells the truth. So many of my colleagues said, well, I don't like the way Donald Trump tweets or talks, but I like his policies. Okay. And then now with Liz, they're like, well, I like her policies. I just don't like the way she tweets and talks.
In 2019, she called Democrats, quote, the party of anti-Semitism, the party of infanticide, the party of socialism. And more recently, she said that the American Rescue Plan will, quote, provide stimulus checks for illegal immigrants, criminals, and even terrorists. Many of those statements are inflammatory or inaccurate. Do you believe those statements to be true?
Now, in terms of inflammatory rhetoric on things like that, look, again, that is a problem that a lot of people have. I'm not going to justify it. I'm not going to defend it. It's a reality. And it's something that as a country, voters and donors need to turn away from. I certainly believe that inflammatory rhetoric, whether it's on our side or the other side, shouldn't be used anymore. Let's be clear, though, it is used all over in politics. That's part of the problem, is people using fear.
Some members of the Republican Party have embraced Nazis and white nationalists and fascists. Do you see yourself being able to make some sort of alliance with these members of your party?
No, there's no room in my heart to accept people that say extremely racist, inflammatory things. And I think, I can be especially critical of my party. It's the idea of, criticizing the speck in somebody's eye with a plank in your own. But I do think both sides in this case need to really take inventory of how we do politics and call on people's better angels and better judgment. I think ultimately the truth will win out. That's what we have to do, because I think otherwise we're going to look back someday and realize that this country fell apart and it was totally foreseeable.